This is Crescendo, the music philosophy podcast.
Oh, are you talking about the greenhouse effect?
It's nothing to do with the
It's an inside joke between... I said
Riley-
my car was
Riley-
heating up because of the greenhouse effect, because we were sitting in a gas station, and Ben said to me, oh yeah? And then now it's this ongoing joke of them making fun of me for everything I explained. Well,
anything scientific. Because he likes to talk about science.
Bitch.
Welcome to this week's edition of Crescendo Podcast. I'm going to jump right into it because this week is going to be awesome. We have Rule of Two, an interview with Rule of Two, who is a friend of Luminate, who are formerly known as Oxygen. That's what he is in the podcast, but I should change that, and I will soon. If total coincidence, I didn't know this was going to happen, but he and Rule of Two happened to be in the same room when this happened. So even though the interview is primarily with Rule of Two, Luminate also comes in for a little brief opinion. So it's pretty cool. I like it. Just so you know, Luminate is in the background. It adds an element of humor if you know that Luminate is sitting in the background just listening, just like enjoying the show. Like, I hope you will too. Again, the new music is Understand by Rule of Two. I have to deeply apologize today. It sounds like Yes It's Music is not going to be a regular occurrence as much as we would have loved it to, and I'm sure you would love too. I really like doing it. I say this every week now. I'm going to try to get one next week. We really will try and get one every week, but if we cannot, let's just take it for granted that there won't be, and we'll call it a special treat if there is. Just a refresher for those listeners who are new, the Yes It's Music was a thing that came in the first episode that I promised would be every week, but due to terrible coordinating, and it's my fault, and I accept the responsibility, we realized that we actually can't really do it every week, because it doesn't make sense. We're across an ocean. It's really hard to do it. But we're going to do our best. What it basically is, and if I get enough people that say, hey, we really want it back, I'll yell at him and make us do another one. But what it is basically is we analyze electronic music, because I think most people don't understand why it's so cool, or what it takes to make it, or why the dynamics of whatever you're making and how that affects you psychologically. A lot of music psychology, a lot of production tips and how and behind the scenes and all sorts of good stuff. And that's what we'll try and get it next week. I'm sorry, guys. This is the first part of Understand by Rule of Two.
All right, we ready?
My body's ready.
All right, let's go. Let's start off. I always start off with the question of, telling us a little about yourself, how you got started in the world of music.
Okay. So, I think it's in like the producing world. I think I started when I got FL Studio 11.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think as you start producing music, and as you start understanding why other artists do things in their songs the way that they do them, then you really start appreciating their music better, and that's when you actually get into like music itself. That's where I came from. Like, I wasn't actually like, I didn't like music, and that's why I made it. I like started making it, and then I started liking music after that.
Oh, so you just started. Well, then what started you making music then?
Excision.
Excision?
Basically, yeah. Like Excision and like shitty Skrillex 2012 stuff.
Yeah.
And like,
so
of course,
like,
Flight by Tristam, of course. Our Lord and Savior Tristam.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Flight by Tristam, that I actually completely redid that song, like completely built it up from scratch. Totally horribly. It was awful. But I actually built through all the layers. I loved it so much. It got me. I don't know why. What is it about that song?
I honestly hate it a lot now. Like it's honestly a piece of shit. Like I don't like it at all.
I hate it now too. I don't know what it is. It's such an irritating song once you listen to it.
Like all of his other music is good. That makes me so angry. But whatever. Oh, there's like a thing I was going to talk about. Like I had these lessons with Varian. Do you know who Varian is?
No.
He's on Monster Cat.
No, I don't.
Oh yeah. Well, he did the orchestral arrangement of like what was it 2012, the whole Monster Cat album. He did like the orchestral. He did Flight. Oh. Flight was in there, and
wow.
he's on Monster Cat. Anyway, he had like these lessons going, so I took a few from him, and he had me recreate "Crave" by Tristam, and that turned out to be like one of my favorite songs by him, just because I remade it.
Crave, I've never heard it.
What?
No,
boy.
I know. I guess I'm not a true Tristam fan.
No, truly. Jesus.
Oh man.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I'm just like as a producer, like that helped me a lot because that, like, I spent like I think a month on it, and I sent it back to him after a month after our lesson. And I ended up having like 12 versions of it, like from beginning to end, and like it still ended up really shitty. Like it was terrible, and it didn't sound
like not compared to the real.
Yeah,
thing,
of course, yeah. But like I tried.
Yeah. So do you think that the process of recreating that kind of helped you to see the layers and what goes into a song for your own material?
Yeah, I think, absolutely. Like if I could recommend one thing to like a starting producer, it would be to deconstruct, like take 5 of your favorite songs that will never get old to you and like haven't gotten old to you, and just pick them apart, like every tiny little detail, not just in terms of like mixing and like technical instrumentation things, but also like the meaning behind them, like why the person chose this chord progression or this melody, or why they use these lyrics, and stuff like that, like what they're really trying to get across, and then not copy them, but like learn from it and apply it to your own music.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the big picture, why, not just the little stuff, but like the big picture of why they're doing what they do to create that kind of emotional experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's why I think the Crave remake I think that was like perfect, because I admire that song both from an emotional like musical side, but also from a mixing and producing side, because like the drums in that song, let me tell you, those are like some of the best drums I have ever heard ever.
Oh, like, now you're hyping it up. Now
like,
I gotta okay. Now I'm gonna play that like segments of it in the show.
Yeah, and like the melody is amazing. I started out by like learning it on piano first, and then doing that, but like just that one song helped me learn a lot, and I'm starting to do like other songs now that have like different sides to them, like darker things or like more lighthearted things. Yeah, I could see that. And I think the best part about that process seems like, because you're not doing it from like an original project file, because you're like building it from scratch the way you think that it would replicate it the best, like the way you think it would, you end up actually like making your own techniques in there as to how things make things sound like what you want. Yeah, and that's essential. It's getting into the flow of how you do things really makes like the music making process, like the creative process, like you have to have that to have the creative process. Having that workflow, like just knowing what to do. If you have an idea for a song, just knowing what to do instead of having to like debate like whether you should do this or that, or just like in your mind, just you should just know what to do. And I think that's a point that I've been trying to get to.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Like a point where it just you know that if you have an idea, that you'll be able to pretty well put it into reality. Like I'm sitting in front of a keyboard, I'm kind of like, you'll be able to kind of get your idea onto the thing where you have that technical expertise.
Yeah, and like obviously like if you like do the practice of like recreating a song that you like, or the songs that you like you're still gonna have that kind of like magical like awe of the song that you don't completely understand it, but I think doing that is one of the best methods for making your own music. It definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah, and I wonder why other people don't. I mean, I'm trying to think of any other genres or anything do that. Like, do comedians I'm trying to think because that seems like such a good way to learn. You know?
I'm absolutely like I've been really into like Louis C.K. recently, even though it's like the most basic comedian you can get into. But like I was just like watching some of his interviews, and he says that like when he was starting out, or even like now, like he would just go to a comedy club every single night and just listen to people and like see what people responded to in the crowd and stuff like that. And I think that's really the same for any creative thing, like job that you're doing.
Yeah, but that's like listening to music. Like you have to listen to music. But my question is, do you think that any other genres have like just learn, like try to recreate from the ground up a song? Because that seems like something that's kind of exclusive to music, but I feel like you could translate it.
I mean, sure, people do covers, but I think like the people who the group of people who are at the point where like they're recreating songs that they like within like especially like electronic music are like those are very few people who like do that. So I don't even know if that's like stretched out into other genres, but like I think the electronic music has so many different sides to it in terms of like mixing and like instrumentation and like just playing out it being a piece of music, like a song with emotional value. Like there's so many different sides to it that like I feel like that don't like other genres of music don't have that as much because there's an infinite amount of sounds that you could use in a song, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
And I was actually thinking I had a long debate with myself, and I was actually just thinking about it for a long time because I'm taking this music course right now, and I don't like it very much at all. And I was just thinking like this I had this really old woman as this music instructor, and she's like, you know, you want to make sure that you're not using any sounds, pre-made sounds. Like she was talking about like digital music, like no loops. I mean, like loops I could see, but like she was talking about sounds and she said, I don't want any pre-made sounds. And I'm thinking, well, you don't invent an instrument and then write something for it. Like you don't invent a sound and then write something for that. So I was kind of thinking to myself, what's like, it almost seems like electronic music in that sense is so much more creative than any other thing because there's so many more. You have to literally make the instruments before you can make the piece.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think like the electronic music industry, or just like the electronic music itself, I guess is really unique in that one respect. Is that like it's the only genre that you do that. Like you create all the instruments that are in the song, like those get repeated and like copied, like from like you know like the dubstep bass from 2012,
right,
like that classic FM, like every like people still use it now, sadly, but like you know, but yeah, like there's so much more creativity in that respect, and that's I think it's a good reason why like recreating songs is such a good idea because like you have to like with the Crave thing, like the lead was really got me. Like since you haven't heard the song, I can't really like.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna listen to it. Trust me,
like it's like the lead in the drop is like it sounds very simple, but like it took me forever to get it like even close. I don't know why. I thought it would be a lot easier, but like it was really challenging. But
yeah. What I was going to say was, like, for me, I was trying to convince myself, well, is electronic music more creative or less creative than other genres? Because the one argument to me was that while you're creating all these sounds and, like, you're saying replicating songs kind of helps you build with the sounds, like, you're kind of following a format, so to speak. So, like, I know with many genres of electronic music, you're following, like, a pre-made format. Like, you have, you know, your intro, you have your verse or chorus or drop or whatever you want to call it. But then, so I must feel like it's given to you in form, but not given to you in instruments. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that for a while too.
Yeah, that's really true. That's something I really like suck ass at. Like when I go to write down when I go to write a new song, like in the past, I think I guess besides Small Town, with Luminate, the last one I released was Temple with Weather Control. And like that, those are like 4 months apart. But like everything I've made in those 4 months, they've been like cookie cutter, same song structure for every single one. Like intro, and then like no build up, random drop, and then like a shitty bridge, and then another drop, and then that's the end. And so like in terms of that, like in terms of like the pre-made, I guess like setup for like a song that you would like when you go to approach making an electronic song, like you know what it's going to look like before you even make it in terms of like structure like that. But like that's part of like another idea that I was thinking of. Like I've been looking into like a lot of other artists and like what they think about actually like listening to music as like a or like the absence of listening to music as like a creative tool, because like I was listening to Mr. Fiji, who's also a Monster Cat. Why am I talking about Monster Cat so much?
Because it's great. I talk about I somehow get around
really
Monster
not.
Cat in every single podcast. It's just a great. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
But like he was saying how he doesn't listen to music at all. Like he doesn't, like when he's in the car, he doesn't listen to music. He doesn't listen to music while he's falling asleep, while he's riding his bike, like
why?
whatever. Because he thinks, and I actually like this a lot, like this notion, because he says that like it just by listening to other music, you're creating like an inventory within yourself of things that you can pull from and use in your own music, like you know, different rhythm patterns or like different styles
totally
or anything
agree.
like that. Like if you find something different, then you're like, okay, I can like I'm going to internalize this and I can use this in the future, or like something like it. But like what he's saying is that if you don't listen to music at all, like that's like what you're doing. If you do listen to music, is you're creating like a circle of just like a boundary, basically. Like you can't step outside of it because there's nothing, you haven't heard anything outside of it. But if you don't listen to music at all, then like there is no boundary and you can just do whatever you want. And like whatever sounds good to you is like, there doesn't need to be a boundary. It's just whatever sounds good to you can be good, basically. And I thought that's really interesting. And I've been like pulling back on my music listening recently. Like I follow like a few artists just because I admire them and I like to keep up on like what they're doing because it is inspiring. Right. But like other than that, like I don't listen to a lot of music really.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. I'm thinking because I agree with you, but I also what is it, Mr. Fiji Ouija? I guess I'm not a true Monster Cat fan. I don't even know the artist. I also disagree with him in a certain respect. I totally get that he wants to like you see what other people are doing and you see, oh well, let's see if I can do that, but maybe a little bit better. And I totally hear that he wants to step outside. And actually, if everyone were to do that, I think you actually would have a really diverse, really awesome set of just everything. But to me, it almost feels like, so I there's this thing, this idea that it keeps repeating to me, that I keep popping up all over the place, which is that before you can get good, you have to, learn, you have to find what everyone else does, look at it, what everyone else does, and then intentionally step outside of that boundary. Like you see this, I read an article on cooking, I read an article on design, on everything. Like I feel like this is all in comedies. There's actually a documentary I watched about it. So I feel like you have to have that ground level. Like you have to have the basis between the artists before you can step outside. I don't know. That's frustrating. I wonder.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I wonder what would happen if you just sat someone not listening to music, just said like, gave them maybe some music so they know, like classical music so they know what they're even doing, but like just let them explore, Well,
yeah, of course, like Mr. Fiji Ouija, like listened to music as he was learning how to do things. Like, but once I think, like that's kind of what you're saying. Like once you get to the certain point that like, you step outside of that, I think that's kind of what he's doing. Is he's just like, since he knows how to mix now, he knows how to like write a melody. He knows how to arrange like a drum loop. Like he knows how to do all that. Like he doesn't need to learn anymore from other music. So he's just stepping outside of that and letting his creativity take control. Since he has all those tools at his fingertips now. And are you familiar with Crywolf?
Wow, you were just throwing things at me that I don't know tonight.
Okay, I wasn't until like a couple months ago. Like I had no idea who he was. He's not a Monster Cat. That's a first for tonight.
That makes me feel better.
The only reason I bring this up is because I've been into him a lot recently, but like he has this series on YouTube. He came out with an album a couple months ago called Cataclysm. It's a bunch of like it's a lot of songs, but for the album he went to Iceland. He lives in LA, but he moved to Iceland for like 30 days and like rented a house and set up his whole studio in the house to write this album. And he kind of details that whole thing and how that helped him make his obviously create his album. But like I think it was episode 3, he really talks about like letting your creativity like letting it loose, kind of like that, like not like at the same, like in the beginning drawing from other sources, like at the very basic level, like the mixing of a song, like the standards it needs to be like professional. Because if you sit down a 12-year-old in front of FL Studio and you say make a song, then they're not going to live up to the standards of Mr.
They're going to get
But like he says like basically just like make art every day, even if it's like bad or it's like meaningless or anything like that. Like if you just make art every day, then eventually it becomes like a reflex, and you can just do it without thinking about it. I don't know how that's related to anything we were talking about, but I just wanted to point that out.
No. I'm inspired. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's so funny that we came on this topic of conversation because I was actually gonna had a list of questions. I was gonna say,
oh yeah, please do that.
No. I love it. I love it when we get off track. It's awesome. I was gonna say, I was actually gonna talk about creativity, and because I've heard the music you make. First of all, gotta compliment it. I'm blown away. I'm not on that level at all. I think it's really awesome,
okay.
And I think that it's so different than stuff I normally listen to. I'm not gonna lie. It's stuff that I don't really listen to that often, but I can totally appreciate it. So I actually want to know a lot about it, but I want to know like how do you go from the process of creation where it's actually a reality on the screen or on the keys or whatever?
Well, for my first question is, which songs did you listen to? Because
all of them. I literally listened to
all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
I think like my favorite track of mine is Valeth, the first one, because there's two. There's Valeth and then Valeth 2, Drain. The first one is like a weird kind of experimental trap. Really, like it was different from anything that I ever made before, and that was like I listened to like some other kind of genres that were similar to that, and I got inspired, and so I like went down and sit down and made this, and I kind of like based the theme off of it, off this nightmare that I had about like this character that I like named Valeth for this means of the song. But like I don't know, I honestly like looking back on that, like I wish I could like tweak a few things in the song, but like I really am like I really like don't know how I came to make that. Like I couldn't do that now if I wanted to. Like I couldn't get into that kind of mindset. Like I think it really just like comes to me. Like if I'm sitting down to make a song and then like I get something going and then I like run with it and then it's just finished. Like I honestly have no idea. Like I don't have a method or anything.
Yeah, that's like the best kind of creativity is when you just feel like you see it comes to you, you all like just know how to throw it together, and then it just is, you know?
Yeah. Like in that song, like I had like in the nightmare that I had with the character Valeth, like there was it's like a really long story, but there was like basically like throughout the entire dream there was this really weird noise like in my ears that was like cutting out all other sound. And so in the bridge of Valeth, I created like this really like low drone bass that was kind of supposed to like emulate that.
Yeah,
and I thought that was really cool to do. Like that was really my first experience like taking things from like my actual like real life experiences and like putting them into a song. Because I've always been trying to like do that, of course. I think every artist is, but like that was a really cool experience for me, like having that like do that like seamlessly without me even thinking about it. So to answer your question, like I don't really know.
Yeah, no. That's the whole point is that no one knows how to do it, and that's why I keep asking. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm just trying to process all that.
Next question.
Yeah, next question. No, there's like I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Lumen? Is he still there?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I kind of feel the same way about stage 2. I listened to it and I think like I don't remember how I did any of this or like how it came to me. There really was no rhyme or reason or process to it. It just kind of flowed. I was like, I'm going to try and finish this. So I did.
Yeah, no, it just came to you.
Yeah.
But there's a certain amount of technical expertise, right? But they have to do.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I really did not have that much experience with anything. Although it does still bring back a lot of nostalgia about the time of when I made it. So I really like the song for that aspect, not for the production aspect, but for the nostalgic and like personal aspect. I really like it.
Yeah, that's good. So do you think that because you said it was almost synesthetic, right? Like you felt it and then you just like put it into another form, you know?
Yeah.
Do you think they're the best kind of artists like that, you know?
No, I wouldn't think so. Like, I know, like, I think every artist experiences that. Like, it's to some extent, like whether it's throughout like their entire career or just at the beginning or the end or whatever. Certainly that was for me, like the beginning. Like, I haven't really done anything like that. Like, I haven't been able to create anything like that. Like, just purely from like instinctual motives really recently. And so I think the best kind of artist is one that has control of their creativity and they can push it in a direction and like I guess guide it, but then it also has control over them, and there's some things that they can't really like explain about it. They just kind of do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's really like both sides of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
the thing about Valith is like, that was like really weird. Just adding on that is like, that was a really weird experience because like I take on all my songs, I usually take like a really fucking long time to do them. Like
I agree.
They get like I do the original, like the whole, like the first draft in maybe like a week. And then like it gets dragged out into like a full like 2-month like thing, and then I just end up having it finished, and it's end up like finished in a folder sitting there waiting to be released, which is like 10 of my songs right now. But like with that, like that was not the process at all. Like I think I started it like at night one day, and then I finished it the next day, and that was it. Like I didn't change it, I didn't like critique it, I didn't like keep working with it like that whole week. I just finished it and it was done, and then I released it like a couple days later with like some shitty art that I made at my friend's house.
Yeah.
So
don't you think that's what all artists? No, I'm sorry, not the shitty art.
I got him.
Not the shitty art slapped onto it. Don't you think that's what art is in general? Like you see it, it's just like a way of saying. You know, it's a way of translating what you're trying to say into whatever else you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So like that's kind of, it's just like, but then it becomes the question of like, how good of an artist are you that you can convey what you're trying to say into there? But then it's just technical knowledge. You get to this kind of loop of like what really is art, and that's what I'm trying to answer in the first place. But this is why it's so confusing.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone. I think the videos that I mentioned earlier like best sum it up. Like I kind of internalized what he said in that video, and that's kind of what I like believe in terms of that now. But like recently, like in like the past like 4 or 5 months ish, probably like 5 months, I've been like really confused as like where my music is starting to go, because like after I did like the remake and like I started looking at other music really in like a different way than I had before, I started making music that didn't sound like anything I'd ever made before. Like if you listen to my SoundCloud, like everything sounds like Satan made it. Like it's like it's actually like it's like satanic, like really like dark and like atmospheric. Like not that like my new songs aren't atmospheric, but like I made things that sounded like my favorites playlists. Like if you look at them now, they're like Tristam and Laszlo and Crywolf, and like that's it. But there's no fucking like metal bands. There's no like Varian. There's no like Noisia. That's right. Like a combination of those would really like sum up, I guess, like my music that I like have in my SoundCloud right now. But like none of that's in there, so it's like it's really confusing for me. Like if I'm like the music I enjoy listening to, like I have value in, it's like really positive and like meaningful, but then like the music that I make is really like dark and like grimy, I guess is a word that you could use for that.
Yeah, no, I get it. Why do you think it's going that way?
I don't really know, and I'm not really happy with it, so I've been trying to like improve and like really set myself straight on
It's
like
almost like it has a mind of its own.
Yeah, it has like I'm trying to like set myself straight on like a certain course and what I could go, and I think I've kind of like I guess decided on something. I guess like both like there's a song that I have coming out called Understand. I could send it to you.
Yeah, I'd love it. Actually,
if you want to like
I'll
play
put that
it,
in the
if you want to
I'll
play
put that
it,
in the new music.
it's like melodic. Oh, I'm gonna be talking about it after it's played now. But like it's melodic, but like it's dark at the same time, and it uses a lot of interesting like sound design features like Foley and a lot of weird instrumentation and like different mixing techniques that I've used before. Like the mix in the song is a lot more spacious, and my other ones they're a lot more like punchy and loud, just because they're more like EDM driven, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Understand is one of those tracks that I talked about that took like a really long time to make, and I kept critiquing and making changes to. I can't critique it anymore because the project is like fucked up and I can't open it. But
that's the point when you know it's done.
Yeah, now it
enough.
It has to be done now.
Yeah. I think that's the best way. I think you should like find a way so that you can screw up the file enough so that when you know it's done when you can't go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have that. That should be a new feature in like 12.4 or something.
Yeah, it just tells you like you're done now. Like it's time to stop.
Or just like your project will slowly deteriorate over, and then you set the amount of time.
Yeah. And then after that, you're done.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That's good. Well, that's about it. That literally wraps up everything.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you did pretty good on that one. Awesome.
Damn.
So for today's invention, there's no way I can actually describe it, so I'm just going to tell you to go up and look it up on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and then hit Wintergatan Marble Machine. And it's basically a massive structure that apparently took them like years to make. It's this wooden invention type thing that it's just crazy, and it has like, you know, all sorts of wooden things. I don't know if he hand cut it, but it's like, it's crazy. And what it does, it has like 2,000 marbles that roll up, and he powers the whole thing with his hand crank, and it all comes down and hits chimes and makes a song, actually makes like a usable song, and he's not controlling it that much. All he's doing is like changing what marbles get sent to what parts of the instrument. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you can tell this, this video is a culmination of, a really long time of work. And his whole channel has like 240,000 subscribers as of right now, because he's gone on to then take it and make other songs and do all sorts of crazy stuff. So the Winter Gatan Marble Machine, go look it up. It blew my mind. It still blows my mind every time I see it. I'm sure every podcaster probably says this, but it really does mean a lot that you got to the end of the episode. It means that someone out there is receiving the content that you are producing. And that we talk about that a lot in Crescendo Podcast. We talk about how content can be produced, but not necessarily received. And does that make the content valid? Is the content only available to consume? Or if you're just yelling into a void where no one's actually going to listen to it, does it actually matter, or is it the sake of the art? That's kind of the philosophical question. One of the philosophical questions is the root of everything we do. So that's about it for today. You can subscribe, you can like. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode. It makes a big difference. Comment if you got to the end of the episode. I want to hear it. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. Follow me on SoundCloud. You can comment, like, do all the good stuff on all the platforms. Here's the last bit of Understand by Rule of Two. You can check out all the links below for everything. And that about wraps it up.